There are two water dispensers. One is Model A, cost $1,500, and the other is Model B, cost $2,100. You would like to recommend Model B to customers. But most people choose the cheaper one. Why is that? How can users choose the Model B? Some people may think it's easy. Do you know what's good about the Model B? However, it is difficult to judge how good a product is and how much it is worth from a rational point of view. From a rational point of view, if customers know the reasonable cost, profit and price of similar goods in the market, they may be able to make a rational price judgment. But for a large number of goods, it is difficult for consumers to find a so-called reasonable price. Because of this so-called reasonable price, he is not determined by the cost. It is determined by consumers' perception of the price of this product. If you decide to recommend Model B, you have to let consumers perceive it. Today I want to introduce an important business logic called price anchor. For instance, once when I stayed in the hotel, I turned on my laptop and wanted to access the internet. I found that the hotel provided two internet payment schemes. One is $20 an hour. The other is $50 a day. At that time, I felt that I would pay $40 for 2 hours. But $50 could have a whole day. Therefore, I did not hesitate to choose the $50 payment plan. But as soon as I had paid the bill, I immediately realized that I was in the middle of it. The only value of $20 is that it makes me think that $50 is very cost-effective. $20 is the so-called price anchor. The price anchor was put forward in 1992 by a man called Tuwosky. He believes that when consumers are uncertain about the price of a product, they will adopt two very important principles to judge whether the price of the product is appropriate. The first principle is to avoid extremes. If you find a product with 3 options, the smallest version has limited functionality, but the price is the cheapest. What about the highest version? Everything is extreme, but the price is very high. If there is a middle choice besides these two choices, many people will not choose the smallest or the largest. In this case, we call it avoiding extremes. Therefore, in order to make you consume, the enterprise usually does not put this product at the extreme on the left or the extreme on the right, and usually put the product in the middle of a few choices, so you are more likely to choose it. The second principle is balance. Consumers may not be able to judge whether the product is expensive or cheap. At this time, he will look for some similar products or similar products to make some comparison with this, and will let himself have a measurement standard. This situation is called trade-off. After we know how to avoid extremes and trade-offs, how can we use this logic to make consumers buy the product we want them to buy? Now let's go back to the original water dispenser. If you want to sell the $2,100 product in particular, you should use the logic of avoiding extremes. What's your easiest way? Is to let the product department to produce Model C, cost $4,300 water dispenser. If you put these 3 products together, you will find that when there were only Model A and Model B, Model B might not sell at all. We all bought Model A. But once you have Model C, you will find that Model B is much better than before. Let's take a look at how to use the logic of trade-offs to sell goods. If you have a physical examination product that costs $600, how to sell it by weighing and comparing? You may be able to use the advertisement words like this. You are willing to spend $6,000 to maintain your car in 1 year. Why not spend $600 to maintain yourself? This sentence may impress many people. They will think it makes sense. I spend $6,000 to maintain my car. But it's not as important as people. Once consumers form this trade-off comparative advantage, the value of the $600 physical examination program will be very obvious. In many cases, you don't really want to publicize the performance of the product itself. You just need to find a product with a sense of value or price performance inferior to yours to make a comparison. And your sense of value has been highlighted. Finally, let me summarize the above logic. How to use the logic of price anchor to guide consumers to buy. There are 2 principles for the product you want him to buy. First, to avoid extremes is that when there are 3 or more choices, many people do not choose the lowest or highest version, but prefer to choose the middle product. The second is trade-off. When consumers can't judge whether the value is high or low, they will choose some. He thinks that the same kind of goods to compare. so that they have a measurable standard. In fact, consumers do not really pay for the cost of goods. They pay for the sense of value of goods. The logic of Price Anchor is to let consumers have a comparable price perception. Do you understand now?